Hello there. Thank you so much for joining Vida and Coffee, where we talk about books and the authors who create them. Today I'm talking to Francine Beaton, a romance author, and we'll be talking about the importance about setting goals and planning. We'll talk about her books and plans for 2021. Francine, welcome, and thank you for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, first off, please tell us a bit about yourself and your motivation to start writing.
I live in Pretoria in South Africa, and my husband is often here at home, and then my daughter studies in Australia, and otherwise I have all the time to write, and that probably keeps me going the whole time, is getting the characters out of my head without too many of them. So I think if I don't write, I'll probably go crazy.
So tell us how it all started. What motivated you to write?
I was in New York on holiday, and we were returning, and it's quite a long flight from New York to Johannesburg. And I was reading this really, really bad rugby romance, and I thought, I'm very certain I can do better. So I started planning and thinking about it. And by the time we arrived in Johannesburg, I planned 5 books already. And that Monday, I started writing, and I wrote for about 9 months. I just wrote and wrote and wrote, and I had about 8 or 9 books before I showed it to anyone else.
That is great. But now everybody wants to write a book when you talk to people, but there's also a lot involved with that. So please tell us a bit more about setting goals and the importance of planning.
For me, I think I was quite naive when I started writing, but it was also good that I just wrote and not look at anything else or have any aspirations then. For me, it was just to write. And then when I started publishing, I realized, you need to plan, you have to set goals for yourself. If you don't do that, you're going to procrastinate and you're just not going to get anywhere. But I also learned, and especially 2020 taught me that you can set your plans, but things can change so quickly. And I mean, life happens. You need to be able to adjust your goals but don't lose sight of the big picture. If you want to have the dream and the goal to write, set that goal for yourself because that keeps you motivated. I need to plan quite um, because I need to have all these series. I really need to plan my series and how I release it that I can keep readers interested in each series. Because if you wait too long between books, then they lose interest in the series. So I need to make sure I have it all planned out and set out. And if I publish one book in the series, I need to plan another book in a series. And of course, because I'm a series writer, I really need to plan my schedule of when do I write, when do I publish, when do I do promotions, and set aside time for each day to do at least 2 of the things that I've set out for that day. Because I like Sunday afternoons to create my posts for the next week because it's more relaxing, it's more interesting. So the rest of the week, I try to get up at 5 and write until about 12, and then I start writing again from 2 to 5. So that's
That's great. Obviously, that takes a lot of work. Now, I look on your bookcase and I can see Eye on the Ball, which was the very first book of yours that I read. And I want to say as well, you created an awesome book trailer for it. You know, I was watching that and it's like, I want to watch the movie, Francine. So if you could tell us a bit more about your 3 different series and then just what they're about as well.
obviously On the Ball was my debut novel, and it is still probably my favorite book. I will always say Jakes is my first love. Because when I planned this series with On the Ball, the first one, I thought it was going to be typical rugby romances with a lot of testosterone and a lot of erotica and things like that in, but Jake changed everything for me because he had a different kind of story to tell. It's still rugby romances, but it's more, I think, more emotional, more sweet romances than it is like the typical sports romances. So yeah, I've published six in this the series so far, and there's about five or six more to come, but in the next future.
Wow.
And then while I was waiting for the publisher to get the first three books ready, I started the publishing process takes a bit long. So I decided I'm going to try and self-publish a book. And the first book I self-published was Chase for Coffee, and that's a first book in the Chase for Love series that's set in Scotland. And this series started when my husband, my daughter, and I discussed different coffees. And we thought, people meet in coffee shops and they meet over a glass of wine or something. There's always something that can bind two people together, bring them together. And that is where the Taste for Love series starts. So I've published a third book now, Taste for Cupcakes. That, that is the second series I have. My first series is also the first one I published in English and in Afrikaans, which is the Blue Mountain series. I absolutely love Stellenbosch and I love the wine farms and I love wine. So obviously I need to set a book on a wine farm or in that area. And that is where this series started as well. So this is also the first series I published in Afrikaans. There are 9 books of the 9 siblings. That is their stories, and I've published 3 so far, with 3 to come, hopefully out in 2021. And that is my series. Obviously, there are splinter series, like I have the Making the Right Call, which is the first book in the Kickoff trilogy, which is actually a prequel series to the Playing for Glory series. It's just the 3 books of the owner and the coach and the player who gave the team their name. And then uh, because they were always characters like, as they're always the bridesmaid and never the bride. There's always these friends and the other ones. And I decided, you know what? They also have stories. They may have short stories, but they also have a story to tell. And that's why the I call it the On the Sideline series. And this is the first book in that series.
Wow, that is really amazing. I think you are one busy writer. But what I like is that, especially with like Eye on the Ball, you deal with topics which are very, very relatable to people. Like Eye on the Ball deals with mental health, which is something that a lot of people can relate to. Obviously, we all enjoy, taste for coffee, for wine. Mine in particular would be chocolate. So I look forward to something along those lines. So well done. But now you've got your latest book out. So please tell us a little bit more about that one.
A Ray of Hope. This is a Christmas version, but it will be forming part of a new series called the Hope series. This story started when I went to Nice now last year for holiday. Previous year, I went to Nice now, and I still saw the devastation left behind from the fires and how people were still trying to cope with it. I thought one day I want to write a series or a story about it, and that's where I got the idea for a fireman story or something like that. But I was just playing around with it and never really knew where it was going until my daughter came back from Australia in last year, June. And while she was in quarantine, she spoke about a neighbor who was a fireman. It's a South African fireman that went to Australia to help fight the bushfires. I thought, well, that can make it interesting. Why do people go to another country to fight fires, to risk their lives for people they don't know? And that is where Stuart's story was born. And the hope, even after fires and devastation and things that you can live through, that there's still hope somewhere along the line.
That is awesome because, like I said, very topical. And then the thing is that you also write in Afrikaans, you don't just write in English. So please tell us about, how that started and is how difficult that is to do.
The I went to a book fair a couple of years ago, and I only had my English books there. And then too many readers, people came and asked me, "Why don't you write in Afrikaans as well?" Because I thought that would be interesting. So that is where the Blue Mountain series, I published that in Afrikaans as well the next year. And I, this year, or 2020, I struggled to write, and I thought, let me rewrite my rugby series, the first book in Afrikaans. So that is when I decided I'm going to do Jake's Geheim, which is Eye on the Ball. And it's very popular. So I'm going to rewrite the rest of the books in Afrikaans. And when I started, I thought, but why don't I do the Chase for Love series? But with Chase for Love, I just couldn't rewrite it because it would be stupid to have all Scottish characters speaking Afrikaans all the time. So I decided to rewrite it as a complete new series, and I set it in on the garden route. And this is the first one that came out, which is Taste for Cupcakes. It's actually it will be it's the first book now, but it's the same storyline. But I gave them Afrikaans names and speak about Afrikaans. I must admit it wasn't easy to start with, but now that I'm getting into it, I can find my characters have different voices in Afrikaans, and I actually enjoy the process of writing in Afrikaans, which is my mother tongue. So I don't speak as much Afrikaans these days as I do because my husband and daughter speaks English. So I rather, but I really enjoy the Afrikaans as well. And as the books are doing well, I'm going to concentrate on that for the next few months.
I do admire I think, your passion and your ability to do that. Um, but now you're not only a writer, you're also very involved with Rosa and also in mentoring other writers. So please tell us a bit about Rosa. What is it about? And then just all the workshops that you're planning for this year.
Rosa is a romance writers organization of South Africa. It's a volunteer-based organization to help promote romance authors and romance books in South Africa. And we try to um, make the writing process more accessible and get more authors to write in as South African romance writers. So I'm the chairperson of or the leader of the Pretoria chapter, and as my role there, I need to arrange meetings for them, and also the part of the meeting is to get authors to develop them. So the workshops I'm going to do, it's not only me, but most of them I present, is about character development, setting development, self-editing, and just how to get them from starting from scratch, having an idea to take that through and help them tighten up their writing and uh, help them to find resources. Where can I find something until I can get them to present their book to a publisher or self-publish or do something with it. But I just want them to get to that stage, and that is the series of workshops I'm going to do with them. And the other workshop I'm going to do is about self-publishing, which is an open workshop that's not just for Rosa members, but there are many people that ask me for this workshop because we all know it's not easy to get into a publisher these days, and the process takes long, and that's why people feel they rather want to self-publish, and that's where I'm going to take with this workshop.
Okay, it sounds like you're going to be very busy. So I wish you the best of luck with that. And then maybe we can touch base again in a few months' time to see how you're getting along. So I want to thank you so much for taking this time to chat to us today. And, I'm going to put in the description all the details about your books and where people can find you, and also the link to that amazing trailer, Eye on a Ball, that I spoke about earlier. So I want to thank you so much, Francine, for taking the time to talk to us, and then we'll touch base soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.